everybody, and welcome back to the I Don't Know Running podcast, where we share our experiences that make running fun and sometimes not so fun. I'm Lewis, and I'm a self-admitted lazy ultra runner who's having some anxiety about not getting in his runs.
You know what, Lewis? Before I introduce myself, you're a diamond in the rough is really what it is.
Thank you. Is that a compliment?
Yeah. No, I don't know if it is.
Oh.
And I'm Mitch, and I am sore. Like, it's taking me longer to recover after this than I thought it would.
Because you ran so hard.
No.
It's because you're getting old.
Yeah. And I got to run this Sunday.
Yeah, you get to run.
I get to. No, I'm looking forward to it, actually.
Yeah. You weren't forced to sign up. You paid to do it.
I was forced.
I don't think so. We are going to be talking about Glass City.
Heck yeah.
Glass City Marathon, Glass City Pacing, and all things around that weekend, including how Diamond in the Rough is a compliment.
You know, we talked about this a little bit. Like, we laughed a lot.
Yeah.
And
we had a good time.
Yeah, we really had a lot of fun. And I think that Mindy is really good at laughing at herself because we were
totally.
So we were like, did we laugh too much? Like, we were kind of laughing all together, I hope. So
yeah, it's one of those things where you learn when you're in elementary, when you're getting picked on by the boy, it's because the boy likes you.
Right.
And I think similarly, as you get older, it's like I can pick on you, but you can't pick on them.
Right.
Like your kids.
Right.
I can yell at my kids, but you can't.
Right.
And Mindy's one of those where we all obviously have all made snafus and we can laugh at ourselves in our group. And It was so funny. She's like wanting to say thank you, basically, for helping. Carrie was helping clean up the kitchen and all that. And
yeah, he was the only one standing up there doing it. We're all sitting at the table, and he was cleaning up everything.
Yeah, and doing it with a smile. He was just like, yeah, it's great. I'm just helping. She says, yeah, Carrie, you're a diamond in the rough.
And I laugh. I'm like, what? Like, what? I don't know if that's a compliment. So we all started laughing. And who looked it up?
I think Nicole did. Yeah,
she did. And it says, it means you have potential. I was like, oh. And we kind of joked about it later. It's like, well, you're a loser, but you do have potential.
You do have potential. So that was, that was fun. But yeah, we stayed at Mindy's. Some friend of ours live in Toledo. And you stayed with, because initially I wasn't going, and then I was. And so we had planned to stay with Mindy. You stayed at the hotel.
Yep. With Jim.
For the Pacers.
Yep.
Which is really cool. Toledo's like one of the only ones I know that I have paced at that do that.
I think there's other races that do it, but usually we're pacing a really small race with a really small budget.
Yeah, true. But like, I don't think Chicago does it. I don't know.
I know a lot of races give out goodies. Like, a lot of races will give out shoes or jackets.
Chicago does really good for that. Like, you get a kit from them for that. But anyway, so you stayed at the hotel, but typically what we do is we get together and we have a spaghetti dinner of some kind. And Mindy was nice enough to cook it all, take care of all of it. We just brought bread.
We had a lot of bread.
Turned out we picked up bread. We weren't sure if you were, because when he texted you, you're like, bread? What are you talking about? And you did some terrible edit to a photo.
I said, Nicole brings bread.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And so we got some bread, because who doesn't like bread?
I like bread.
And
you got oil. Like, we got
some good oil.
Like garlic, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Something.
We went through a whole bottle of that stuff.
And it was good.
And I probably ate half of it.
Yeah.
I was full of bread.
It's something to do with maybe Toledo or Matt and Mindy, where I just eat bread. When we went out for the eclipse, I had a whole thing of bread plain sitting out waiting for the eclipse. Well, it was so good.
Well, I had to laugh the whole thing as the weekend went, because we got together Friday night. We went for tacos, and then that's where Nicole said to you, like, because they have a 2 taco meal or a 3 taco meal. And the way she said it, and I totally exaggerated it.
Yeah.
Are you getting 2 tacos or 3? You know, so I did it very
frowny face 3.
Are you getting 2 or 3? And we laughed about that Friday night. So it was the same thing. And we're going to get, like, you were going to cut into the bread. Do you really want to get the bread out yet? Like, yes, we do.
Yeah.
We're eating bread.
Yeah.
It's going to ruin your dinner. It did ruin our dinner, though.
A little bit.
She was right. But
yeah, a little bit. I still had plenty of spaghetti, but, and it was good. And Mindy was nice enough to not only do all that, but she made, meatless option.
Yeah.
For Jim.
Yep.
Who doesn't eat meat. And so it was great. It was,
we had
it was
salad.
fun.
Do you have any salad?
I did. I did not have the croutons out of the garbage, though.
That was another thing she did.
The crunchies. She threw away the crunchies.
She threw away the croutons. Nobody wants those anyway. Well, I guess she decided for us.
That was funny. It was a lot of fun. The dinner was it was such a good time, such an uplifting time to be together again and all of us and get ready for the race. It was the next day. And we had a forecast showing
up to 80,
but a bunch of question marks essentially, because if you looked at one forecast, it was 60 up to 80, but it was like no rain, but cloudy. It was supposed to be cloudy. That was pretty fair bet that it was going to be cloudy.
Earlier in the week, it showed thunderstorms.
And every app was different, and it was changing all week. And then the night before, we all looked, and there's a chance of rain in the morning. Probably should clear up by, I don't know what it said, but anyway, clear up in the morning. And so I think everybody was kind of preparing for, like, it's going to be warm.
Yeah.
It's going to be muggy, humidity, like high humidity.
Dress for it. Like,
which is as little as possible.
Well, Nicole brought up that we have white pacing shirts and how much of a mess that can be. So if you don't have some nip guards on, it could look really bad. We did see a picture later of it looking bad.
Yes.
But on purpose, I wore a compression sleeveless underneath it just to make sure I didn't have any rubbing, because I don't want rubbing anyway. So I already had that planned out, not knowing what color the shirts are, because I've had a problem with Pacer shirts before.
Yeah, I just took my Band-Aids, my nipple, the square, small Band-Aids, and I shaved around the nipple, because that can be an issue if you don't do that. And
that's hot.
Man, I put those on, and I made sure, and they were perfect. They didn't come off until I got in the shower back home.
Oh, well, yeah.
So they were
just left
lock solid.
Are they sitting on top of the shower still yet?
I'm still wearing them. No, they're not. I threw them away. But anyway, there was that. They were white Pacer shirts, which is always like, really? White for a running shirt? Who does that? Unless you're on like an episode of The Office.
True.
But yeah, the weather. So I guess typical. This was, we've talked about Toledo before, but typical Toledo or Glass City race. Expo is fine. Nice. Yeah. Nice size Expo.
I still wonder if I cut in line, like because I don't see the line.
So funny,
and I walked right up and I got my bib, and you said you stood in line. I'm like,
it was weird because
I probably cut.
If you did not follow the Expo around, like a lot of times it's a guided type deal where they make sure you hit like everything. And when you went to the Pacers, if you did not want to follow the Expo, you were just there to get your bib. Once you hit the Pacers, if you turned left, you can kind of just jump into the packet pickup area.
So if anybody's listening to this that saw, the
bearded guy,
the tall bearded guy with tattoos walk up to the front of the line. Yeah, sorry.
Didn't mean to. He didn't mean to.
I didn't mean to.
It was Mitch.
I'm just dumb.
Yeah. We jumped in there and I almost walked up and I went, boy, there's like no line. And I looked and I went, oh, we got to go back here.
I didn't turn around and look.
I did.
Ignorance is bliss.
It would have been really easy to just walk up, but it wasn't bad. So we went up, got in line, and it moved really quick. We were not in that line for 5 minutes.
It does. I think they do a really good job there.
Yeah.
Like and especially now that they assign your bib there, it is so much faster.
That was. Yeah. It was very quick. Walked up. even though I didn't even have my barcode that you're supposed to have, I missed that. Sorry.
I didn't know where mine was either.
I will say this. They sent out, I think it's 348 emails the week of. And that's why I didn't see it. It was a lot of emails.
Delete.
Yeah, I just Mercy Health Marathon. Yeah, and I'm like, thank you. I don't know. On one hand, I'm going, we complain because we don't get enough information.
Wow.
Now I'm complaining because it's overload.
Well, that's the funny thing is, I mean, I can pick on them a little bit. It's my experience of the website, right? I didn't see a lot of information on the website, but you had to go to the emails to see that information. Come on now, put it on the website.
Yeah.
Easy to get to.
Yeah.
But maybe somebody can come back and say, no, you just go here, here, and here, and they can educate me. But it didn't seem like it was that easy to find information on there.
Yeah. I guess I didn't look at the website that close. Probably, I mean, I did enough to go, the packet pickup closes at 4. So I knew I needed to get there before 4. Other than that, I didn't really look that close. I knew what I had to do. I've done it several times. That said, I did not know I needed a barcode. Or you were supposed to.
Yeah, but she said barcode or your ID.
Yeah, and so I went up there and it was super quick. He goes, no worries. What's your name?
Yeah.
Showed him my ID and he's like, boom, boom. Yeah. Done.
Well, that was my 9th time running Glass City, my 4th time pacing Glass City, and I think my 14th time pacing a marathon. So I looked it up. I was kind of curious.
Only your 14th pacing? Wow. I would have
14th, yeah.
I would have thought it was more than that.
I think I have it figured out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the only race I've run more, like I'm going to run Charlevoix again, and that'll be 10 times. I've run Bayshore 13 or 14 times, I think. I was kind of looking that up. I'm like, man, I do a lot of repeats.
Well, local.
Yeah.
Yeah. Semi-local, with Toledo.
But I always like Glass City. I mean, it is.
Bayshore is actually further than Toledo, isn't it? Or no, Charlevoix.
Charlevoix is further.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's up there. Yeah. So the expo was good, whatever. Get out of there. We head over, do our fun dinner that we had, and show up race morning. And it was super organized. I mean, it was like really good. We have talked about this a lot on this podcast.
We found a good parking. You found a good parking spot?
We found an amazing parking lot.
I scoped mine out.
Parking spot.
I scoped mine the day before.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you come in from the south like what Matt was saying?
I came in and I drove right. Yeah, I didn't have to drive through the mess. But I think it's based on where the hotel was and the GPS took me. It took me to the right side. So I just drove right in.
Did you park near where we did? Where we walked up to the start?
I parked behind the stadium.
Oh, okay.
And it was just like, all I had to do was walk out from behind the stadium.
So we parked basically right between the stadium and the start, closer to the start. But
you walk towards the stadium because we go to the Team OC tent.
Yep. And which threw us off because everybody was kind of going the opposite way. And we're like, why is everybody going up there? Well, that's where the start is.
Because you're like lemmings.
Yeah. Well, we did for a little bit. And then we pulled out the phone and went, we got to go over
I
here.
know this is the wrong way, but they're all going that way. So I have to.
Well, it's one of those things where, because there's a river, a creek that runs through there. And you're like, well, there's only like 5 places to get across that. Mm-hmm. Something like that. And so you're thinking, well, you're not thinking. It's too early. But
because that race starts at 6:30.
6:30. That was
we were there, like Jim and I parked not long after 5, right around 5. Because we had to go to the tent and then we had to do all that we had to take pacer pictures and stuff like that. So I said to him, like, it's easy in the tent. Like if it was cold, the tent's usually heated. We have our own bathrooms.
Yeah, that was one nice thing about this year. It was it was almost perfect out. It was 62-ish, probably.
No extra clothes.
Wasn't raining.
It was kind of threatening a little bit. It was kind of sprinkling.
And maybe a drop here or there, but it was like not raining yet. And so you could just wear what you were going to wear for the race, and you're ready to go. So went to the tent, dropped our stuff, found you there, walked back to the start, basically where we parked, and
and then we're following people, and then it's like, oh, I'm not walking up that hill. Well, I'm not walking all the way around to get to the road.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk up the hill.
Yeah. A steeper one.
Yeah.
Steeper one, same grass.
We're not smart.
Yeah. But we did get to the start, and man, everything was just super well. I just thought it went really, really well.
Really, they did a good job when they kicked it off too, because they did release in the waves, and that makes it so much easier. If people would pay attention to the wave they're in and be honest with themselves about what their goal finish time is, no BS. Like, don't sit there and say, hey, I'm trained for a 4-hour marathon, but somehow I'm going to run 3.
Yeah.
But if you line up in the correct, you're not gonna be cramped.
Right.
And it did. It took off really easy. Like, I was not cramped.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was surprised when it stopped, because was this the first year they did that?
I don't remember them. During COVID year, when the first race after COVID, remember they released us. They were very specific.
From that parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very specific. I think the race was actually longer that year too.
True.
And they released us like,
that was basically a wave.
Basically a pace group at a time.
Oh, that's
like, it
right.
was tight. And there wasn't nearly as many people. Not as many people were running at.
True. Yeah, that's true too. Whereas this year, obviously,
they had to have had record numbers. It was packed the whole way.
Yeah. And man, it just went off. Everything went off without a hitch. It was great. The start was great. I can't complain about anything. The aid stations were great. Well stocked, like plenty of volunteers. It seemed like not an overabundance of volunteers, but plenty.
Yeah.
Like I never had to worry about, oh no, there's not a person for a cup. You know, they were on it. Great volunteers as well. Like, they knew what they were supposed to be doing, hollering out Gatorade, water.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was really, really good. Let's talk about the pacing, I guess. Let's go into that.
Yeah, because we ran 2 different paces. So Jim and I had to run a 10:30 pace for a 4:35 finish, spot on. We hit it. We were hitting our mark every mile. Like, we were within 4 or 5 seconds, 6 seconds.
Yep.
Mostly a little fast, right?
Yep.
But I remember from last year that it was a little long. Like, it was almost 26 and a half. And I paid attention to the tangents this year.
Oh.
And then I was because your GPS can be off too.
Yeah.
So I was checking every mile. I had a pace chart on there, and we were about dead on the mile
marks.
On the mile mark. So we were running fast on our watch.
Yes.
But we were on the
Yes.
So that's why you still need that piece of paper that says
100%.
10:30 is pretty easy to figure out, but I don't do math when I'm running.
No, it's really hard. And I was very happy that I could read the pace chart as well. I was kind of concerned because I need to wear readers, but I could read it. And that was I was very happy about that. And yeah, same thing. We nailed it. Every single mile was within, I would say 4 to 6 seconds, something like that. There were, with the exception of like 2 miles, we took advantage of a downhill once.
Yep. We had the same.
And we didn't intentionally do it, but it was hard not to, because it's just that long one. And you do know you have that long uphill.
Yeah. Before the hill, we did the same thing. And it's like, and then Jim called it out. It's like, we were fast down that hill. It's like, well, we have this next one. And then another spot, neither one of us were paying attention. We were talking or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh, that one, it wasn't bad.
Yep.
But it was fast from what we wanted. It's like, ooh.
Yeah, when you hit like
it in.
10, 15 seconds, you're like, it's a little quick.
Yeah, because
don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yep. And so we had the same thing. Other than that, every mile, man, we were really good on, and we kept track. Again, same thing on the mile markers, not on our watch, with the time. And I thought it was interesting, and I think this is common at Glass City for whatever reason. The first half, it seems, something seems weird. They grow, and then you hit that halfway mark or a little bit after the halfway mark, and all of a sudden they start to settle in. I don't know if it's because you're not able to run the tangents as well, in the first half or
Maybe.
so because you have all
It's
the extra
packed.
runners.
Yeah.
Pretty packed. Or if it's just the mile markers are sorted by then. I don't know what it is. But it seemed like a couple of the mile markers I went, there is no way it moved that much.
Right.
We're on 8:35. And somehow we just lost 10 seconds there.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? That doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
And it was only a couple, but it does make you think a little bit like, whoa, what happened? Are we off? But then in the last like 10 miles, they're pretty on, and you can trust where you're at with. I knew when my watch went off, there was about 25 seconds and I would hit the mile marker, but that's about how far off the GPS was from the mile markers.
Yeah.
And yeah, so pacing wise went great. Came through at 8 for our group, we were pacing 3:45 and we came through at 3:44.50. So within 10 seconds.
I was within about 15 seconds.
Yeah. Which is awesome. That feels good. And then it feels great because but when you come across the line and you see 3:48 or whatever it is, because it's delayed, like I'm holding 3:45. We really are under 3:45.
Yeah, because we started 5 minutes after. 5 minutes.
Yeah,
after they kicked off the clocks.
Yeah, so it doesn't match up with the clock, but
right.
Those that are running with you know. And anyway, but going back, the weather. This was interesting. So the weather was actually, in my eyes, perfect for what we were doing, pacing.
Mm-hmm.
If you were running and running hard, it was probably a little warm.
Yeah, I felt comfortable because it was raining throughout.
Yes.
Like it would sprinkle here and there, and it was like it cooled me down. I felt really good.
What was really cool about this race was, not this race, but just how the weather was. The first half, it didn't rain hardly at all. But there was a nice little breeze, like 5 miles an hour tops probably. That was just perfectly cooling. Like, couldn't have asked for it better.
Maybe we'll hear somebody that ran it that had a different experience.
True.
Based on trying to push it. But I was comfortable the whole way.
Yeah.
I mean, I was sweating for sure because I'm a heavy sweater anyway. But
yeah.
But I was comfortable.
I was super comfortable, and the breeze in the first half felt good. It just felt like, man, you'd run into it, and it just felt great, cooled you down. And then the second half, somewhere in the second half, it actually did start raining.
And it rained a decent amount a couple times.
Yeah.
And I think I heard thunder.
Yes.
And a couple of people got freaked out by it.
Yeah.
But
at that point, what do you do? So, I mean,
just keep running.
Well, yeah, we're running. And actually, Nicole and I were talking about this on the way home, on the drive home. It was, what are you supposed to do? Like what's a race going to do?
I don't know. How do you shut it down and get those people
if it really starts lightning and it's close,
picking people off.
Yeah, go to the.
Ooh, don't go over there.
Okay, the race is done. Get yourself back to the starting line or back to the finish. Like, well, wait a minute. How's that supposed to work? You want me to run back?
Yeah,
because I'm running.
I don't know how that works.
And what do you go to an aid station and collect a bunch of people? I don't know if that's right.
I've been at a race where they tried to cancel it. It was.
How do you do that?
I don't know. It was. And they didn't actually cancel it. It was. It's right there.
Postpone or delay or pause.
It was Arkansas. It was in Little Rock.
Oh yeah.
So police got a mixed message, and they're trying to veer us off the course and saying it's canceled. And we're like, what? I'm like 3 miles from the finish. I'm running this way. I'm going to run in.
Yeah.
So we just ignored them and ran in, and they said it was never canceled. So there was a missed message to the police or the volunteers or whatever. But I just remember that race. David was running, and I had arm warmers on. It got like super cold during the run.
Oh.
And it started to snow even. And I pulled my arm warmers over my hands. He didn't have any of that. And he was trying to get a cup of water and just fell out of his hand. I remember having to go up to get a cup and use both hands to get
Oh my goodness.
Didn't happen here. Like it was never that cold.
No.
In the rain.
The rain hit at the right times.
It felt good.
It felt good. there were the couple of times where I went, ooh, if this continues like this is going to be real annoying because it was coming down pretty.
That's
hard.
what Jim said. If it rains harder, I'm not going to like this.
Yeah.
I'm wet.
What do
already.
you do? You're already wet. Yeah. But it was good. Man, as far as marathons go and just an enjoyable time. Oh, I do want to talk about this. So we have talked quite a bit about sodium, taking in the right nutrition and things like that. I got to mile 16 and pacing. I felt great. Like the pace felt great. No issues. I was keeping up, felt very comfortable. Wasn't breathing hard. I even checked my heart rate at one point and it was like 135 or something like that, maybe 140. But I got to mile 16 and I don't know what it was, but I started to get some anxiety because my calves were tightening up. Like I could feel them. And I'm going, come on, man, this just, everything's comfortable. And so I had those tablets.
The Chewies or?
Yeah. The Chewies. I did take.
Because the capsules have more salt.
Yeah,
right?
and I did take 3 or 4 of those before the start.
I mix it up. I'll go back and forth because I think the chewable ones are too sugary for me. So I'll kind of switch back and forth because I don't want it to mess with my stomach.
So I had plenty of those. I probably wasn't taking quite enough, and I wasn't taking probably quite enough nutrition, which can be easy to do when you're not pushing it.
Right.
So I took 4 of the Chewies.
That's a lot.
Ate them. And made sure I got a little extra water at the next aid station. And then the next mile, which normally I was taking them every 2 miles. So 8 minutes or 8.5 minutes later, I took 4 more of those Chewies. And made sure I got plenty of water, and it all went away. It went away at probably mile like 20, which is a tough time. You have 6 miles to go.
Well, Jim and I picked up a kid. I say kid, he's only 23 years old in the last stretch. And he was cramped. I'm like, you cramping? Yeah. I was like, you got salt? No. And both Jim and I are like, we got salt. So, Jim pulled it out of his pocket and, whether it's a placebo effect or not, but, he ran in with us and he took off and passed us at the end.
And it doesn't take long for that to get into your system, depending on how you're doing it and all of that. The tabs, obviously, the salt capsules, the S caps do work really, really well. But yeah, that was, I ran into that and I went, this kind of sucks. I'm a little nervous here. But as soon as I got all that in me, it went away. And the rest of the last 6 miles was fine. I felt good. No issues. And yeah, I don't know. Everything about that race was just really, really good. And this was my, I don't know, 5th or so time doing that race.
At least that many, because you've probably paced it 4 times, but we've run it for fun multiple times.
Yeah, it's in that neighborhood. I haven't ran it for fun too many times. I've ran it probably twice.
Because I ran that one time, I was going to try to push it, and I end up, and you're like, you going to run with Nicole? Like, well, wasn't going to push it that hard, but.
Oh, yeah.
And we ran it together. Her and I ran the whole thing together before.
Yep. So, yeah, everything went well. And pacing was fun. It was great. My pacing partner I'd never met until the lining up in the corrals.
Yeah.
And he knew a lot of people. He was from Toledo, from the area, and obviously in the running scene there. And so there was a lot of, hey, Mike, hey, Mike, hey, Mike, hey, Mike.
That'd be like us in Grand Rapids. So
yeah, a lot of people. Yep. And so it was good. It was fun. He's a strong runner, so I didn't have to worry. I had scoped him out on Strava prior to the race and seen, what he could run and what he had run recently. So I knew he was super strong. So that gave me a little like, all right, cool. I don't have to worry about somebody dropping. He definitely had it in the bag. And he had just ran Boston and ran 3:12.
Okay.
So it was warm there, obviously. So
yeah, because that's been Glass City's been day 2 of a double for me twice, at least. So
that
was my first ever. I ran Carmel the day before and then ran that. And then that's when Nicole went with us one time, and we did, day 1 was Martian. She qualified for Boston at Martian.
That's right.
And then she tried not to run with us at Glass City, and she couldn't help it at one point. She caught up to us, and we made her run with us.
Yeah, she tried not.
She tried not to. Remember that, because we were all wearing the Team OC shirts. We all had pink shirts on, and we crossed 4 wide going across the finish line with all 4 of us.
Yeah,
it was cool.
Yeah. No, it was, I would say uneventful, but in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a race. If you are in this area, I would recommend it.
It's a good Boston qualifier if you're looking for a good Boston qualifier.
Yeah. It's easy in, easy out. It's as much as we have talked about the parking being an issue, it's not really an issue. It's just you can get turned around on where your car is.
You can lose your car.
You can lose your car, dude. But other than that, with just pin your phone when you leave, or pin your car when you leave on your phone, and you're fine. And it's a race we'd recommend.
Yeah.
So, anything else on that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it's that's it. That's Toledo. That's Glass City Marathon in Toledo, Ohio. Go check it out. The finish is fun. You finish into a stadium, which is always cool.
And you get a mug.
And you get a mug.
I've got a lot of these mugs.
Yeah. I don't have as many as you do, that's for sure. But you do get a mug. You get a medal as well. But they do give you a mug. I actually walked out and I went, well, where's the mugs? They had them kind of in a little different spot.
I missed it last year. I didn't get one last year.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder why.
I just didn't see them, I think. I just kind of, and then I didn't worry about it because I have so many.
Yeah. Yeah. They're nice, though. I do like them. But yeah, that's Glass City. You are going off to do
a Revel race in New Hampshire.
We'll be talking about that when Mitch gets back. That's another downhill one. That seems to be their MO for their races.
Mm-hmm.
That's another state. That'll be 43. 43, 7 left.
Well, actually 8 left because it's 42 plus U.S. territory.
Okay.
Marine Corps I count that as DC, and that's U.S. territory.
Gotcha. So realistically, 42 plus. Be sure to check out the list that Mitch has and send entries so he can get those checked off. And with that, that's going to wrap up this week's episode of the I Don't Know Running podcast. Be sure to tune in next time as we share more about what we just don't know.
Until then, happy running.